Welcome everybody. I'm very happy, very glad that you are making this event with us. My name is Ahmed. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Invenium, a consulting firm for innovation and transformation management. I'm very glad today for this month, for the innovation pitch of December, to talk about a subject that could interest a lot of people here. It's about blockchain applied to the supply chain. And today I'm very, very glad to welcome to Carlo DONADIO, not only an expert in this field, but also a close friend that I have done my executive studies with him. He just came today from Milano to bring his experience on the table and share it with you. Last week he was in Chicago for the same fun event, a little bit bigger than us, to talk about blockchain applied on supply chain. So warm welcome for Carlo DONADIO, and thank you so much. Welcome.
Hello everybody. Thanks Ahmed for the nice introduction. My name is Carlo, and I'm blockchain, let's say, addicted. Super happy to share with you today what I learned and what we are doing with me and my colleagues. And once Ahmed phoned me and said, Carlo, would you be available for a speech in Paris with us? I said, why not? And then I thought, okay, if you have a couple of hours or 3 hours, it would be great. But I'll try to stretch and make things easier to explain, and starting from ourselves. So each of us expressed a feeling or felt a feeling in life. So I'm trying to explain the concept of blockchain with feelings. At least one, good or bad. I'll try with love. Okay, so, So I'll try with love, and if we go to the next slide, it's a question mark. Question mark stands for, what is the reality of blockchain? If I say to my if I tell to my partner, I love you, it's a central system. Sounds strange. So there is nobody else that will be witness this emotion, this data exchange, and that's fine. But what about if I will say something to my partner, I love you, and I will have on my back a witness, say, okay, I'm your witness. So if you would like to change your expression, your data, if you would like to change your data from you to your partner, you need to convince the witness to prove the opposite. And this is a central system with a backup. Everybody had experience in corporates, and if you are familiar with system integration too, with this kind of architecture. But what about if I say something to my partner, I love you, and I will have many random witnesses behind me? That's blockchain. It means that if I would like to change my statement versus the person or the other side of the connection, I need to convince all the other witnesses, the other nodes, that I'm trying to modify my statement, and they will prove the opposite. This is a reality, how blockchain works. So it's more than not a matter of how quick you are able to provide the data, or how good or how much accurate the data are between me and you. It's a matter of trust. So if I trust my counterpart, and the other counterpart trusts me, maybe there's no need of blockchain. Blockchain is a distributed database where all the information are encrypted with 2 keys, public and private, using a crypto data engine encrypting that will make sure that that data will be not hackable, not modifiable by anybody. Let's see that in a bit. So this is a traditional data systems. I will go very quickly on this part. Maybe it's a little bit boring, so we'll start with the nice part, the one I liked, supply chain. This is the traditional data system. We have different actors. These are servers, or could be PC, device, whatever. And the most common question is, can you send me what I need? Here's what I know. What do you know? So it's a constant data exchange. And this kind of constant exchanging data will never provide the real picture at a certain point in time, because this loop will never end. Or if it will end, it will be the end, and maybe there will be no need to know what was the real data, the real picture I wanted to know. This is the blockchain. So this is a different way to share the data. It's a shared data system. Different actors, different systems, servers, devices, whatever, will have a single source of truth. They will constantly writing on a central distributed database. It's a little bit complex to explain. It's a central or a distributed database. It's distributed and the information is centralized on distributed database. It means that nobody can modify the data at any point in time. Let's go. So this is a very quick intro. It's a distributed database. It's a distributed ledger, to be really precise. And how it works through the consensus mechanism. It could be proof of work, proof of stake. There are many different consensus mechanisms. And why it works is because there is an encrypting engine that will work and will make sure that different actors involved will exchange data using encrypted key. So it's a kind of password. Yes, it's a password that can be modified constantly and coupled with another one. So if I exchange my data with you, we all have a public key. Me and her got the only private key that will be identified if a mathematical algorithm will be solved by all of you. So if I send a data to her, all of you will run a race. It's an algorithm race. You will try to solve an enigma, an algorithm, mathematical algorithm, and if one of you will find it out, that private key will be exchanged to her. So I have the same keys that she got. You have the same key that you provided to her. This data will not be modified because after you send her the private key, everybody got the same private key and knows that I exchange data with her. This data can be any kind of transaction, finance, supply chain, even document or a process that we would like to exchange, any kind of information. And in the future, also data streaming for video or clip. If we go to the next one, I'll try to explain what is a complex ecosystem, the supply chain. I'm a supply chain guy. I have a background in system integration for several years. And then I'm trying to couple the experience I got in the past with the supply chain. And I see that this is a very, very simplification of the supply chain that most of us know that is not providing and exchanging data in a linear form, but it's like a network. It's like a net. Okay, let's try to make things really easy. We got the importers, transporters, customs, and banks. I'm producing something, over on the other side, there will be a consumer. So all these steps right now are coupled with a data exchange from one point to another, from one point to this one, to one point to the other one, and to the end. So this constant data exchange will never provide the final and the real picture, because all this information are exchanged point to point. So in reality, what we are trying to do is to set in place a sort of ecosystem or consortium. This is a nice word that you will hear about a lot. All these actors will define upfront a sort of ground rules. So what do we like to exchange? How frequent? What will be the final picture of this data exchange? And the data exchange will not be only from one point to another, but will be centralized on a distributed database. You are the distributed database guys. Okay? Good. So these are different actors. Again, I'm a supply chain guy. I'm more keen to things that will provide me a picture, a simple picture. So let's stick to this concept, to the transporters. I keep going on the next slide to see a little bit better how it works. Okay, this is a huge picture. We have let's say, we have the farmer here and the consumer at the end. This is the entire supply chain. So we got the trade finance because we exchange money. We have trade promotions because the final customer will buy product that will be produced and let's say manufactured, also leveraging on trade promotions. We have the track and trace and P2P OTC, purchase to pay, order to cash. So the simple mechanism or procuring and selling goods. And in the middle, there is something really close to the freight and logistics industry. The exchange of the bill of lading. So what I transport on my ship is put on a document, and this document represents all the information at the loading point and all the information and all the items downloaded at the downloading point. I am keen to this part here, to the track and trace. Tracking and trace in real time. So I'm not alone in my team. We developed an asset, and also we are trying to find out how the best way to support the CPG industry, the consumer goods industry, the freight and logistics, and the transport industry. We just realized that 30% of the issues happens at proof of delivery. So once I'm transporting an item from my place to your place, and 30% means that the value that is trapped in this 30% of vendor litigation, it's a huge amount of money. It's in between 1.5 and 2% of the working capital. It means that if I will leverage, reducing slightly bit that percentage, I will unlock a great value for the company. But which one? The transporter, the receiver, the seller? Ideally, all the mechanism has been built to provide benefits to all the participants of the supply chain. So the blockchain is able to provide data efficiency in terms of, let's say, exchange accuracy, single source of truth, transparency, and coupled with other technology like IoT, predictive analytics, and also the cloud integration. It's not a new one, but by the way, it's a way to combine everything together. Will support all the supply chain players to create a higher level of visibility and set a higher standard within the supply chain of data exchange, product exchange, service exchange. The benefits will be distributed, and it is distributed to all the actors involved. So this is called the ecosystem, or even better, consortium. There is a lot of things going under the water surface, more that we can see. Many companies are already working on this technology that is more like a business enabler. I started to look to the blockchain at the beginning of 2016, so not 10 years ago. But actually, the blockchain is only the cryptocurrency, something that's more keen to us, was just invented less of 10 years ago. And things are going so fast right now. And companies are just seeing that great value that can be exchanged is not only on the cryptocurrency. So it's not only about Bitcoin. Okay. By the way, I did not invest a single euro on Bitcoin. I think that the Bitcoin was good to surf the hype, but I see more value on supply chain, on trade finance, and in the auditing processes. More value that can be shared with all the participants of the ecosystem. So this is, let's say again, supply chain. We have what are the issues that we found out just a couple of years ago. All the data were kept in silos. There was a lack of visibility and high cost of manual reconciliation. So the high cost of manual reconciliation was It's something that is happening already every day. If I send you an invoice and you do not agree with the amount of the invoice, you will either pay or not pay. But anyway, at the end of the month, the quarter, end year, we need to reconcile. And for who works in the accounting departments or is keen to finance processes, it's a complex and very high costing process. And the outcome is not always all the time what you really expected up front. Let's go quick to the next one, because I would like to also to hear from you what you oh, the previous one, please. Okay, great. So so blockchain is not a plug and play technology. It's more a business enabler. So it's not only a way to encrypt the data or make sure that the data will not be hackable by anybody. If this is the only final picture and the only reason of using blockchain, maybe we are wasting our time. It is a way to enable the businesses to add the new services, higher value services to all the participants. How can you make sure that this can happen in a clear, transparent way without friction? Through the consortium. So at the beginning well, last year, and if we think about that at the World Economic Forum in 2018, the blockchain word has been repeated so many times. There was the second one ranked in a list. So they made a sort of analytics, statistics. They found out that the blockchain was repeated so many times, either because people is keen to understand a little bit more, or people doesn't know a lot about that. So it's two things. Let's stick to the concept that the blockchain is not a software, is not a simple technology you can plug and play on your PC. It's like play a game with your team, and you will have the most and higher benefit of your race, of your game, if you work well with your team. Your team is the consortium. We have here few examples. There are three, the very basic one, but there are many others. Once we consider the blockchain part of, let's say, our architecture or our business strategy, we need to consider a minimum viable ecosystem. What does it mean? How many actors should I involve in order to be sure that my data will be exchanged with others? And this is right now one of the major issues we are having. So the issue is not on the technology, is not on how complex it is to explain the others that this will provide benefits, is to make sure that these people will agree on ground rules. What are the data to be exchanged? It's more than a governance issue, but not technical and for sure not functional. Minimum viable ecosystem means the minimum number of players that should be involved. And this is the most common case to get ready a consortium. I will give you a few examples in a minute. Then we have also, we don't have a minimum viable ecosystem. We have a big giant, a big consumer goods player in the market, and maybe a big retailer in US. That's the real case. And he would like to track and trace the provenance of the goods he sell on the shelves. So this company will try to impose the other participants to use a certain way to exchange the data. So it's something that will be imposed. So there is a leader of the consortium and other followers. This is also a potential way to use the blockchain. It's good to start, but in the long run, if the other participants will not have the benefits or they don't have any reward, they may not be keen to be part of that consortium. But this is running already. In US, there are a few cases. And the last one, I put it like it can be used either with this one or with this one. And in my opinion, that will be a long run way to establish or set in place a consortium. using the same technology. Easy. You remember at the late 80s, I'm not that old, but anyway, at the late 80s, there was VHS for movies. You can see a movie at home with VHS or with the Betamax 80. I never seen a Betamax 80. That was used in US. And what happened at the Betamax 80? Nobody knows. It's not on the market anymore. So there were two protocols running in parallel in Europe and US, and at the very end, one of these two protocols won against the other. It happened many times, and it happens also recent, like 15 years ago with GSM and ETAX. So it's a matter of who will win the race of using the right protocol. And that consortium, let's say, foundation rely on, let's use the same technology so we can work together. This is preventing many companies to start to invest in blockchain because everybody is stepping back and see, oh, I'd like to see what will be the protocol. So the last one, so I will use that one. Why should I use a protocol that may be dismissed in a couple of years and I will lose money with my investment? So that's okay, that's a real case. But what about if we make sure we work in order to have an interoperability between the different protocols? It's like talking English. You're French, I'm Italian, we're talking English. It's an interoperability, okay? Easy. Maybe you understand some Italian, I understand some French, but we still talk in English. So in the long run, that can be used, fine. Super happy about that, but in reality, if this will not happen, there's no big issue. The interoperability across the different platform, across different consortium, even if they use different technology, make sure that the blockchain, we will have a blockchain of different blockchain. Wow. There is a nice, no, it's not an experiment, but it's a project, I would call it program, and it's called the Identity 2020. 2020 means in 2 years it will be up and running. I don't know, let's see. It's a way to track and trace, or better, to identify every single human on Earth using biometrics data. Eye, fingerprinting, voice, and in some way, even if it's going to be a little bit complex, some DNA part. So we shouldn't use any longer the password or the ID, but this will be locked on blockchain. It's called the Identity 2020. In 2 years, it's going to be a little bit tough, but let's think about how many different possibilities and functionalities we can have with blockchain, not only in supply chain, not only with trade and marketing, or with the finance, or with the cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency creates a great hype. In my opinion, the currency should keep the value and make sure that that value will be constant, recognized by a big group of people without big fluctuation. Everybody got euros and dollars. In other countries, they are buying euros or dollars because they trust on a lack of fluctuation, so stability. Cryptocurrency at the moment, right now, they are not offering this kind of, let's say, guarantee. So, I'm going to show you a quick video, very simple one, that's on supply chain. I've done this video with a few colleagues in Innovation Center in Milan, and we are distributing this. Oh, 1 second. This video is just representing in a simple way, in a couple of minutes, what are the supply chain issues and how can they be overcome by the blockchain technology. If we can, otherwise, if there will be a technical issue, there is a QR code there. If you have an iPhone, you scan it, you can see that. There we go. Let's go on this one. There we go. This is the supply chain, okay? Low ones, good. and a distributed database, data persistency through the consensus mechanism, higher level of security, and there is no middleman, this intermediation. We have a buyer, we have a seller, and we have a carrier. They agreed on certain conditions for a certain transport. It's the loading of the truck, there are terms and conditions, this is called smart contracting. This contract is written on blockchain. People agreed on the conditions, and there is a sensor of the truck, IoT. The sensor will monitor temperature and humidity across all the trip, okay? Constantly writing the data on blockchain all the time, even if you go under a tunnel, because the CPU inside is constantly mining the information and will be kept all the time and sent over as soon as the truck goes out of a non-covered area or tunnel. So at a certain point we have a temperature, and it will be quickly solved by the carrier. He got an alert. He can have multiple match as soon as he stops in a certain place. So the containers keep monitoring and giving information to the blockchain. Temperature, humidity, and position all the time. Again, it goes across the way, and we try to put in place also a communication with the social media. So it's a gate for the artificial intelligence. The information from Twitter is informing the driver what's going on. That's inside the truck. The blocks are mined, sent to a platform tire, and visible from your PC or from your mobile. It's not the future, it's already up and running. We are at the final destination, the proof of delivery. The receiver will receive a QR code where GPS, timing, and the QR code is giving the proof of the delivery at that specific time. According to the conditions and penalty rewarding, the driver will be paid, but he got a delay and also temperature issue. So at the end, all data will be put on this distributed ledger, and backward you can read all the information and all the data that has been captured. We have an holistic view. We have the total transparency. It's easy to use and to look at. Higher speed because we will not have an issue in reconciling, and the security is the final. These are my colleagues. And that's it. So this is an easy application. Well, easy. It took like 7 months to put in place, but it was easy, the design at the very beginning. And this kind of information are visible by all the actors, not modifiable, cannot be hacked. The level of security is higher than a normal DB. And on top of that, the next step, that will not be in 10 years. Those data can be used for legal purposes. So right now, in the black box of the trucks, there is a constant record that can be used in legal litigation, and in next future, all the data kept on the blockchain can be used in order to leverage on a certain position of the truth. The blockchain will be like a sort of notary document that can be provided to a judge, your counterpart, any other actors of the ecosystem, proving what was the situation, the transport condition, a payment, whatever. If you have an iPhone, you should have already the app installed. If you have an Android, you should just make a picture, and afterwards you can see that. Last one, only last one. I see Ahmed saying, Carlo, we need to be quick. Fine. The track and trace is not only about the visibility. We have the product provenance that will be boosted by this technology application. We can reduce the counterfeit goods and detect them in real time, and reducing the lack of money, the loss of investment from maybe the fashion industry. The risk in compliance, there is a way to make the product recall in a quicker way, reducing the damage that can be done by a selling faulty items or contaminated food and beverage products. You can settle the payment upfront without any accounting human intervention from the accounting department. And smart contracting is a contract written on blockchain that can be executed by the platform and the application without human intervention. I transport something to you, we agree some conditions, and if the conditions are fully satisfied, the payment will be automatically done. Nothing will be done by the accounting department. That's the trade and promotion processes that we would like to put in place in the retail industry. And I think I like to talk. I talk too much. Okay, so Ahmed is back.
Oh, thank you so much. I think he deserves a warm applause because it wasn't easy to this topic. I really appreciate it. I don't know if you share this feeling with me about how good was the presentation, the video as well. About Carlo, who's working for a company named by A, who is a consulting firm as well. I think the audience should have some question to ask maybe. If someone wants to first lead the first question, I would be happy. But also I was attending this and I have one question from my point of view. Let's sit, yes, better. So we associated always blockchain to cryptocurrency. Is it that the problem that slowed, make it slower, the innovation of blockchain, use it for delivery, for supply chain, for retailers, that it was only for people from finance? This is my first question. And as an expert in blockchain, what use case are you observing right now going out from the market? Oh, this is like two questions in one. Okay, yeah. Please.
Well, first question. In reality, the blockchain, the Bitcoin created a great hype for blockchain applications. So it was a great start. It was seen as a way to invest, having a quick reward. So this concept was quietly shared with the public opinion. So it was good to have this at the very beginning. But we are in the situation globally where now we can leverage on the technology for the real economy, for the supply chain, for trading goods, for the insurance. And the beginning on Bitcoin was really helpful, but I think that from now on, the two things can be completely decoupled, as the currency and exchange market and the supply chain and production, logistics and so on that we have already now. And going back to your second question, that was, you said, what are the major use cases that can be? Sorry. Okay. I've seen, well, the request from our clients, and I would say even more the clients are universities or student association or other, let's say, colleagues that are working on this topic, is those are related to the track and trace of products in supply chain, and it is felt as a great way to leverage on this business enabler. Another one is on the identity, on the digital identity, but not only the digital identity of a single person, even for a player of the market. How can you present yourself in a bidding in a bid with other companies? How you can organize all your data in a quick way to share with somebody else that don't know you at all. So the digital identity it will be maybe the major use case that will leverage on blockchain. It will provide more benefits. Maybe another one, I'm not super sure, is the international trading. I'm selling something to somebody that I don't know in China. And as I don't know, I may not send the goods first before the money. And the same will do my counterpart in China if he doesn't know me. So what I do, I look for a third party, a trustable person. So I look for trust, and the other counterpart will do the same. If we consider this third party can be a platform called blockchain, we are putting out the middleman in this transaction, and this will boost and reduce the number of actors involved in the product exchange, reducing maybe the time for that, the time to market. I'm not sure about the price, but for sure the process will be more fluent, will flow easily in a more, let's say, accurate way, because no other people, no other person or central authority will govern our transaction. Thanks for the question, and this is one of the most, let's say, not common question, but the more complex to explain it. The blockchain is seen as a business enabler, fine. So answering the first part of your question, would you be able with this technology to hide some of the parts involved in the ecosystem? The answer is yes, but it depends what are the data that I'm exchanging with those parties. If the data I'm exchanging with those parties need somehow to reveal the identity, it will not be the case. If the exchange of the data will not be related to the identity or the name or the surname of the specific person, you can hide that. It's not a new technology. It's something that is already available since 2015. It's called notary node. So you can have one of the actors like you. It will not mind, will not take a part in the race or solve the algorithm, but just saying, yes, I'm here, or I validate the data and send me the data. And you can anonymize a notary node. Say, okay, that node can be anonymized. And the third, if I well understood, the third part of your question is the blockchain part of the big picture where the RPA, artificial intelligence, machine learning, is currently shaping the future of a more and more efficient way to elaborate the data? The answer is yes, if the data will be exchanged and not, let's say, elaborated in a complex way. It's not the blockchain is not a medicine for all the sickness, okay? So it cannot be used in all the cases. It depends how complex is the calculation. One of the thing is, first is in some race for solving the algorithm, the electricity consumption is very high. So it's very high in terms of how many CPU should be working in real time to create a block. That's the first point. The second one is how many people I need to involve in order to make sure that this transaction will not take ages. We done a POC with a client in Switzerland, and the mining, the POC was great. We were trying to track and trace all the items of an electronic cigarette, and it ran perfectly. Then we said, why don't we put 10 items, 10 devices? It was still okay. 100 was okay. Said, okay, we can go live. And the devices were 25 million. So every single block took like 30 minutes. So we said, for this specific use case, we cannot use that. Can we use machine learning for that? Not either. So we need to make a balance. In this case, the limit is just the calculation power that our machine have right now. But I don't want to jump on another topic, but with the quantum calculation, this can be easily overtaken. But it's not now. Maybe in 10 years it will be. We will have a better understanding and see if it is really working with real data.
I will just repeat the question for the registration, but the first part was about the technology used on the product, and the second part was about the legal part, especially when it comes to trading and working with different legal countries or places as outside of Europe.
Okay, first part of the question, the technology that we are using. The software selection is one of the major part you need to do, major effort you need to do at the very beginning once you think that the technology is not mature enough, so you don't know which one to use. So the Hyperledger is the easiest one, okay? And maybe because the number of people on the market with that skill set is available, and you have the feeling that this has been used already in a wide number, in a very large number of clients and companies. In reality, well, what I'm experiencing right now is that you don't have the best platform, and one side doesn't fit all. So it depends about the use case. I'm not using Ethereum. I'm using other platform for the supply chain. I'm using multi-chain for exchanging the data regarding the finance aspects of our transaction. I'm using Corda for the supply chain part. I'm using R3 for the R3 is also a consortium for the banking data exchange. So I would say there are different products for the right purpose of the use case. And then that's a big question also to myself on the GDPR, because the GDPR is something that is running in Europe. It's a law that we are following somehow. So it's the right to be forgotten. So if I want to delete my data on a DB or on internet, I should be entitled to recall my data, and I will own my data instead of you and others. So my data will not be shared by anybody else. And it's working quite well, I would say. We received tons of emails, okay, last year. We got, fine. A similar one is used in the US, but it's not the same legal, let's say it's not having the same legal requirement. As everything in technology, first there is the architecture part. There is the business, and then the legal will come a little bit later. I think that if in the next future we will have a sort of legal agreement with countries where they are not using GDPR. It's already happening with banks. Well, I don't know if you are coming from the banking industry, but if you have a bank account open in US, if you are a US citizen with a bank account open in Europe, this will be transmitted by the Europe institution to the American institution. And it works also other way around. Let's put this in a GDPR context. So in my mind, in the future, the right to be forgotten in Europe can be also replicated in the US if these two, let's say, big parties will agree on something. So I think that this will come, but it's not the case right now.
It's about about security issue. I have this question as well I wanted to ask, but yeah, I agree with Vesna that this is a very great point to mention.
So the risk is something that I should evaluate in any kind of transaction I do, finance, supply chain, whatever I do. If I exchange my data with you, I'm running a risk. Okay, right now, if I tell you something, I run a risk that this can be used or misused by somebody else, like the camera is recording me. So this data can be misused, and I'm running a risk, okay. So I would say the risk will never be zero, okay. That's a simple and bold statement. I'll try to explain other way around in something that is more keen to my day-to-day work, as with the IoT usage. The IoT is the Internet of Things, the usage of sensors on machines, on cars, on trucks. For 3-4 years in Europe, it did not take off as people wanted to have, or the prediction. The reason why, because there was lack of security. And you know what's going on right now? The IoT is booming, especially in the manufacturing processes, because they are using blockchain. So the risk is felt sensibly below the past because there is a way to encrypt the data that was better than in the last years. Again, we will still have the risk managers and the risk department in our companies, but they will they will deal with a different kind of risk. The risk of not use the right data with people that we don't know, but not the risk of running a transaction with people that we know. I don't know if you got the point. Okay, this is a very interesting question. I don't know if I capture all the, let's say, all the parts you would like to investigate. The first one is related to the how the nodes are distributed in the trade finance processes. Okay, and 10% normally, I'm working on the 10% of the cases with a public blockchain, and the majority with the private blockchain. So it's a sort of contradiction, distributed ledger in a private way. I would say there is still a lack of trust from the public opinion on this, and everything is complex to understand at the first sight. So the first step is moved in a safe environment. Safe environment stands for private place, private blockchain. The distribution of nodes normally, I got not so many examples as direct examples. I mean, I didn't work on use cases where trade finance was heavily used. Trade finance processes were not heavily used, but in all the private blockchain, you start to identify the MVE, minimum viable ecosystem. So, how many actors you would like to involve? And first you say, the number of actors will be the number of nodes I will have. Simple case. Or, more complex, the number of actors will have at least 3-4 nodes, because they have different maybe servers that can run and mine the data, and so forth and so forth. So in a private blockchain, you start to think about that the node is the actors. Ideally, but it's a more let's say, romantic way to see the blockchain in the long run. We will be surrounded by public blockchains where all the nodes can be your PC or even your mobile. Facebook was starting to do something like that. I don't know what was the final result. They wanted to use our devices once we are connected on Facebook as a notary node to validate fake or bad news or real news. I don't know the outcome of this project. Maybe it's still running, but there was just a leak of information from some colleagues that work with them. And the last part of your question is, so can you please remind me?
How managing the errors?
Okay. Let's say there is no university or courses that you can really study blockchain and how to use that. So I'm trying to explain all my statement with the example that I had as a direct experience of my daily professional life, or by somebody else that work with me. A big automotive company based in Italy, also present in US, wanted to use the blockchain. Say, look, Carlo, we'd like to use blockchain for spare parts and track it as spare parts, see if they're genuine, and make sure that our client trusts on us and the genuinity of our spare parts, because we have a higher margin on spare parts, and we'd like to be really sure and make sure that our consumers are not buying a fake one. Wow, great, we can do that for sure. But we have in between 2 and 3 gigabytes per day of data reconciliation. What does it mean? Are you reconcile data with somebody else? No, we are correcting the data. Wow. So how do you do that? Today, we are not able to solve all the issues in one day. So we have a huge backlog, and this backlog will never come to an end. Very good, I didn't know. Wow. So how to solve this problem? So maybe this problem cannot be solved by the blockchain, because the blockchain is a non-modifiable distributed database. So
this is what people think, that for this kind of problem, becomes more difficult with blockchain.
That's true. So this is the current point of view. It's like let's call it article. I'm working with my colleagues. So what are the data that should be on blockchain? What are the data that should be off chain? Or either way, something that I would like to put and store so nobody can change it, or something that I'd like to store but I can modify. Or either way, I can put on the blockchain the index where the data is located, but I can modify the data in that location. If I think that that data might be wrong or might be modified because once it was recorded, we were not 100% sure that that was the correct data. It happens, for instance, in the quality check after the production line. So after the production line, you have the quality check. Two kinds of errors. First error, second error. I can accept a lot, thinking that everything is okay, just making a sampling, or I can refuse a lot, thinking that if I got full items in my sample, I can refuse the entire lot. So this comes to we come to in a position where I need to evaluate if those data need to be on chain or off chain, or on chain but indexed to a place where I can modify the data. So I can still make sure that my data can be reconciled and corrected, but I can guarantee my counterparts that the backbone, so the majority of the data cannot be hackable, not modified. I don't know if this answered your question.
Question will not stop, so because while we will take some drinks and some food, we can ask Carlo the question that you want and exchange as well between all of you. Is the networking moment now, so it's more fun. Thank you so much. Thank you, Carlo.